Hello. So this actually was my first book of the 3 books that I wrote in regards to Victor Anderson and his influence upon my life. I want to also mention Peter Hollinghurst, who did the most incredible illustration for all 3 covers. I mean, a wonderful illustrator, and I've been very blessed to be able to work with him. And I thought that he did a wonderful job. And of course, to thank my publisher, Storm Constantine, as well, because she's been a joy to work with. So I have been asked to talk a little bit about my beginnings with Victor, how I met him, and I deal with this somewhat in the book. And so I will continue here. People often ask me how I came to meet Victor. I had been doing a class called Angels, Fairies, and Dwarves. I really enjoyed giving the lecture or workshop with lots of lovely, colorful slides and in-depth discussions. I had a shorter presentation on Tuesdays, and it was on one of such Tuesday evenings when Anna Dea Judith, the well-known artist, handed me a small card with the name Victor Anderson written on it. "What is this?" I asked. "This," she answered, "is the number to a fairy priest. Not quite the way you might think of, but still, you could add his information to your already interesting class. But mainly, I think that you would be a good distraction for him right now, because he has just lost someone quite dear to him." I had no way of knowing that Tom DeLong, a.k.a. Gwydion Pendragon, who was like Victor and Cora's adopted son and longtime friend of their son Alan, was this person. He had grown into a well-known musician and fairy teacher in his own right until his untimely and tragic death. It was a few days later, one timid phone call later, that opened the door to a wonderful friendship and mentorship. Victor was a storehouse treasure filled with myth and science and history and mysteries, with jewels of knowledge and pearls of wisdom. That warm, strong, resonant voice that answered my call was not only a pleasure to hear, but to my awe, he really knew what he was talking about. A part of that first conversation, oh so long ago, was about the history of humankind. "How long," he asked me, "do you think that mankind, in his various human-type forms, has roamed the earth?" "Well, science says about 1.6 million years. I think it could be a bit older myself." "Well, I'll make you a bet that in the course of my lifetime, that they will get it just about right." He twinkled at me with a rascally grin. 20 years later, 2 days before he died, I am reading to him out of Discovery magazine about the latest human fossil find in the heart of Mother Africa. He snapped to attention. How old did you say?" 5.6 million years, Victor," I answered. He started to chuckle. "Must be getting time to go. They've almost got it right." Victor told me that archaeologists and other types of scientists in the next 20 years after he would pass would discover the evidence of many things that he had spoken of, one of which was the ancient Chinese trading station in northern Scotland, and many other interesting discoveries from North Africa to the Middle East. Victor spoke about a world that was once upon very, very different, and that we are now only just beginning to understand what time really means. I think I will share with you the beginning of the end, because that is interesting in and of itself as well. Victor's passing was a total shock to most, but to me, not as much, because the events preceding it. In the late summer of 2001, he would have a far look in his eyes and tell me that the vultures and ravens were gathering. I said, "Oh, you mean outside? Yes, it's the time of year for crows and ravens, yes. Uh, but it does seem a little unusual that they're showing up this early and so many of them." Then, in an even, cold voice, making my hairs raise up at my neck, he intoned, "They will come dressed in black and brown and gray. They will come bearing sweets and tears. The crows and ravens will fight for their place, but the vultures will pick and tear for power. And their shit will desecrate the power of truth and make a mockery of the beauty of the goddess and the power of the Lord, and they will feed the evil that wishes to destroy humankind with arrogance, ego, and greed, for they do not understand or even truly value." My blood turned icy, and I felt a fear run through me. "Victor, are you talking of your own death, or is this some sort of prophecy?" And my voice broke with emotion and concern. "She has been calling me for quite some time now, and she sends her heralds. Well, the blackbirds are for me, I know. Yet something else is also building, and I am not sure what it is yet." The months passed, and I'm woken by a phone call early in the morning before 7. "She is calling me." Who, Victor, is calling you?" "The goddess. She really wants me to come home." I sit up in bed, trying to pull my thoughts together. Victor was reaching out to me as a friend, and I needed to have my wits about me. "Victor, she has always been your beloved lady, and I'm sure she doesn't wish you ill. What exactly happened?" I was traveling in my spirit body, and I found myself standing at the shore of her silver sea. She emerges out of the most beautiful sunset I have ever seen in a purpled sky. She tells me that it's time to come home to her, and I say, "My lady, I feel a great turning of events here on earth." And she said, "Yes, this is so, but you have done your work, and you need not be troubled by the sadness that will come." I begged her, "Stay thy hand for a while. I need to be here. I need more time. I wish to help with what is coming." She was silent, and then softly said, "Victor, your body is wearing down, so even if I grant you a life grant, which is your right to ask, the strain of what is to come will shorten your days if you stress yourself in spirit as well as in body." "I understand, my lady," I told her, and she became then the sunset, and I awoke and I called you. What do you think this means?" I was a little shocked by his question, but I answered best I could, and this is very close to how our conversation went. "Well, Victor, from what I just heard, she seemed pretty clear to me." "Yes, she was, dang it, so I guess I'm done for." "Not exactly, you know that." "You know how I feel. We humans could easily live to 130 to 150 years. I would like to live for 250, come think of it." "Yet, Victor, I have heard you complain about the body you have, and now's your chance to pick up a new one." Victor snorted. "It may not be exactly perfect, but it is done just fine by me, and I would love to stick around for a while longer for many reasons. How long do you think I've got?" Again, I was taken aback. In the back of my mind, I wondered if Victor was testing me in some sort of way. Victor, you have told me that a life grant can be 4 to 6 months, rarely up to a year. But also, she warned you that if you do too much, it's going to shorten your time anyway. So, what's more important to you? I guess that will depend on what happens next. Victor, my voice for the first time betrays some emotion. It's kind of wonderful that she's waiting for you, though.